One of Europe's major powers at the turn of the century, the past 20 years have been chaotic for the Spanish giants Valencia. Since the last of their 6 title triumphs in 2004, Los Che have battled crippling debts, constantly lost their best players, and watched on helplessly at the inability to finance their new stadium. Construction of the Nou Mestalla started in August 2007, yet today it's still nothing more than a concrete shell, a sorry emblem of Valencia's current demise. That's not to say it's all been doom and gloom. In the past 5 years, the Bats have won the Copa del Rey, made it to the last 4 of the Europa League, and secured 2 top 4 finishes. But the club has consistently failed to capitalise on any momentum gains, and now they're threatening to hit rock bottom. With less than half a season to go, Valencia are 18th in La Liga, with just 1 win since the World Cup. A first relegation in 37 years is a very real concern. Tensions have hit fever pitch at the Mestalla, and there's only one person the fans blame: Valencia's distant owner, Peter Lim. Once deemed a saviour, the Singaporean business tycoon is facing fierce backlash against his perceived failings, with protests erupting on a weekly basis. In a recent defeat to Athletic Club, almost the entire home support refused to enter the stadium until the 90th minute, in recognition of the year the club was founded. Lim out banners are awash on the streets of Valencia. But is Peter Lim really to blame? And where has it gone wrong for Valencia this season? For this Euro Football Daily Explained, we're heading to the east coast of Spain to find out. Peter Lim was meant to be the solution to Valencia's problems. In 2014, the billionaire took a 70.4% stake in the club at a cost of €94 million. Along with putting up a further $100 million to invest in the squad, he pledged to refinance their soaring debts and finally finish the Nou Mestalla. 40,000 fans greeted his arrival, almost unprecedented in the history of takeovers. And the start did show promise. On the advice of super agent Jorge Mendes, Nuno Espirito Santo became the club's head coach. Valencia then finished 4th in La Liga, matching their record points tally and securing a return to the Champions League. Lim then sanctioned more than €140 million worth of signings, including Alvaro Negredo, Rodrigo, João Cancelo and Andre Gomes. Alongside the exciting young core they already possessed in Jose Gaya, Paco Alcacer and Rodrigo de Paul, Valencia were going places. But hiring Nuno had been a gamble by Lim, given the Portuguese had only previously coached at Rio Ave. It paid off, although as one source would later tell The Athletic, that led Lim to believe that he was capable of making good sporting decisions, even though they didn't seem to be backed up by logic. This was plain to see when Lim appointed his friend Gary Neville as manager in 2015. A TV pundit by trade, he only lasted 4 months in the job. He then baffled fans in 2019 when Marcelino was fired shortly after guiding Los Che to Copa del Rey glory. Dismissed alongside Barcelona's current director of football, Mathieu Alemany, Marcelino had grown frustrated with his lack of support in the transfer market. He told press, "In any club, there has to be football professionals who take the sporting decisions." It was an assault on Lim's ego that cost him his job. The players were so shocked they refused to attend a press conference with Marcelino's successor Albert Celades. In fact, the long-standing club captain Dani Parejo was allowed to join cross-city rivals Villarreal for free after publicly denouncing Lim's decision. It follows a precedent that anyone who disagrees with Lim's vision faces being moved on, while senior positions on the board are often given to personal associates of the Salford City shareholder, including the current president Lei Hun Chan and her deeply unpopular predecessor Anil Murti. Neither had prior experience of working in football before arriving in Valencia. In total, 10 permanent managers have now passed through the Mestalla under Lim. That doesn't account for the 6 times the trusted caretaker Salvador Voro Gonzalez has stepped in too. In the words of Forbes writer Henry Flynn, the Singaporean has a reactive approach to owning a soccer club, devoid of a long-term strategy. Disconnected from the city, reluctant to invest in the playing squad, and absent from the Mestalla for over 5 years, the fans have had enough. And these constant issues have leaked into Valencia's miserable form this term. First came the sacking of Jose Bordalas. Los Che reached the Copa del Rey final and finished 9th under the former Getafe boss, but Bordalas had grown publicly frustrated at his lack of support in the market, and as Javi Gracia and Marcelino discovered, this meant he had to go. His replacement would be another Jorge Mendes client, Gennaro Gattuso. Out of work for a year, the former AC Milan and Napoli boss actually looked like a good fit for Valencia, while his comical and charming press conferences endeared him to his new Spanish audience. But the squad he inherited was picked apart in the summer. Mounting debts mean Valencia must find €54 million by the end of the season to avoid defaulting on loan payments, and the quick solution has been selling the club's assets. Gonzalo Guedes, Carlos Soler and Maxi Gomez were all moved on. This brought in over €50 million, but it should have been a lot more. Soler, a Spanish international, joined PSG for under €20 million, less than half his €50 million transfer mark valuation. Even Trabzonspor got Maxi Gomez for €3 million, a quarter of his calculated worth. Not for the first time under Lim, Valencia were being taken advantage of in the market, losing out on precious millions. Just take the £20 million departure of Ferran Torres to Manchester City in 2020, a player sold for more than double that amount to Barcelona just 18 months later. The loss of Guedes, Gomez and Soler was also a devastating blow to their attack. The trio collectively scored 27 times in La Liga last term, 56% of the team's entire output. They may have signed Hugo Duro permanently from Getafe, spent €8 million on Andre Almeida, and signed the veteran Edinson Cavani, but the squad was undoubtedly weakened. Still, Tuso cut a relaxed figure, saying signings are not something to worry about. Being told you have weeks to live is something to worry about. He also pointed out that over half the squad was aged 23 or under and free of fear. After 10 matches, the 45-year-old's optimism looked merited. 4 wins and 3 draws meant Valencia were 8th, while 17 goals scored gave them the 4th best attack in the division. However, once results began to go against them, the youngest squad in La Liga began to crumble. Against Sevilla, Real Mallorca and Barcelona, they conceded late on to give up valuable points. And once football continued after the World Cup, their form continued to slide. Dumped out of the Copa del Rey by Athletic Club, Tuso was fired after a 1-0 defeat to Real Valladolid, a result that left them 14th in the table. Voro stepped in once more, but even Valencia's pillar of stability couldn't stop the rot. He lost his 3 games in charge, admitting that relegation was on the cards. The team's main problem has been an inability to defend a lead. Based on first half scorelines alone, they should be 7th, while they've only conceded 8 times in the first 45 minutes. That jumps to 20 for the second half, with 9 goals coming in the final 15 minutes alone. They give up more shots from mistakes than any side, while only Espanyol have conceded more from set pieces. It all adds up to a fragile state of mind. Their commitment to high press, high tempo football under Tuso didn't help. Playing in a 4-3-3, on average, Los Che enjoy 54% possession, take 13 shots a match, and keep the ball in the opposition third. But they place low in La Liga for blocks and interceptions, often finding themselves exposed and overrun out of possession. Hugo Guillamon, their main shield in front of the back line, ranks in the bottom 20th percentile of defensive midfielders in Europe for tackles, and in the bottom 8th percentile for interceptions. Also losing out against opposition dribblers over 65% of the time, he represents the problems the current Valencia side are suffering. Young and full of potential, just in desperate need of direction and a playing style that suits their strengths. So, can they survive? Voro's replacement in the dugout is Ruben Baraja, an ex-midfielder who enjoyed 10 golden years on the pitch at the Mestalla. Baraja declared it was his lifelong dream to coach the club. The fans may adore him, but his appointment is still a massive gamble Lim can't afford to get wrong. The 47-year-old has never managed above the Segunda Division and hasn't been on the touchline since 2020 when he was fired by Real Zaragoza. He does deserve credit for engineering a recent surprise win over Real Sociedad, but his appointment looks like another short-term plan to appease and distract the hostile fan base. In the long run, Lim doesn't look like he's prepared to sell the club either. The 69-year-old recently added his son to the club's board, while in February, President Chan announced, "We have received no credible offers, nor are we looking for any." Despite all the noise, Lim is determined to stay, at least until the new stadium is finished. But if Valencia really do get relegated, then even he might have to accept his ownership can't go on. So that was our look at what the hell is going on at Valencia this season. But La Liga fans, let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Can you really see Valencia getting relegated? If you enjoyed this video, smash the like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe to Euro Football Daily with notifications switched on, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.